Welcome to the Virginia Tech Intramural Sports Preseason presentation. This video will contain important policies and procedures about the Intramural Sports program, as well as sports-specific rules for your reference and to share with your teammates. Before we get started, we would like to thank our presenting sponsor, Foxridge Apartment Homes, for all they do for the Virginia Tech Intramural Sports program. Captains, as your team's representative, it is your responsibility to share the information presented in this video with your teammates. All games are played in War Memorial Hall. Practice equipment will be available to check out at the courts with your Hokie passport. Additionally, a game ball will be provided by VT Intramural Sports, but teams may choose to use their own ball as long as both captains agree. Players cannot compete with jewelry on. The only exception is for medical alert bracelets and necklaces, which must first be shown to a supervisor and then secured with tape. Any religious jewelry must be pre-approved in the Intramural Sports office prior to game participation. For Wallyball, a team needs a minimum of 3 players to start a game. To check into a game, players must have purchased a full Intramural Sports membership and have their Hokie passport with them. We are also asking teams to show up early to their games to help keep games on schedule throughout the night. If a team does not have enough players to start the game at the scheduled game time, the game clock will start and a 10-minute grace period will be given to find additional players. After the 10-minute grace period ends, a team without the required number will forfeit the game. If neither team has enough players, it will be a double forfeit. If teams get enough players before the 10-minute grace period is over, the game will be started immediately. However, if one team had enough players at the scheduled game time, that team will have the option to start the game with a 0-0 score or start ahead by the mercy rule. Teams that forfeit during the regular season must pay a $20 forfeit reinstatement fee to remain in the league. Forfeits during the week must be paid by 9 a.m. on the Friday of that week. Forfeits over the weekend must be paid by 9 a.m. on the following Tuesday. Team captains will be emailed after forfeiting a game with instructions to pay the forfeit reinstatement fee. As a reminder, you should always show up for your scheduled games unless you have been directly contacted by the Intramural Sports office. There is no game limit to add players to your team roster. Players may be added throughout the entire season and can be added to your roster either through Fusion IM prior to the game or when they check in for a game with their Hokie passport. A player can participate on only one team during the season. Players are locked on a roster 3 weeks after the season begins. For all competitive divisions, this coincides with the start of the playoff tournament. Intramural Sports does have roster restrictions for both varsity and club athletes. Details about roster restrictions are outlined in the information sheet posted online. Varsity student athletes may not participate on an intramural sports team in the same related sport. A maximum of 2 varsity athletes from different sports may play on one team. Additionally, there is a maximum of 2 club players in the same sport allowed per team. All former and current professional athletes are ineligible to play intramurals. If you believe a team has an ineligible player, you may file a protest with a supervisor on site. As a captain, you are allowed to protest player eligibility and rule misapplications. Eligibility protests may be made at any point during the game. A rule protest, however, must be made prior to the restart of play. In order to submit a formal protest, please find a supervisor on site and they will administer the situation. Following each contest, the intramural staff will rate the sportsmanship for each team. All teams that finish the regular season with a 3.0 average or above are eligible for the playoffs. All teams must maintain a 3.0 average in the playoffs in order to advance. A team that displays poor sportsmanship is subject to removal from the league, and a player that displays poor sportsmanship is subject to ejection or suspension. Please remember that it is a privilege to play intramurals, so play hard, play fair, and respect the game. Now let's dive into the rules for Wallyball. Volleyball matches are played between two teams of 4 players. Remember, teams must have 3 players to begin a game. A match consists of best 2 out of 3 games with rally scoring. All games will be played to 25 points, win by 2, up to a 27-point cap. To begin a game, a coin toss will determine which team gets to choose to serve, receive, or pick a particular side of the court. A new coin toss is performed before the third game if necessary. Teams will switch sides of the court after each game. Each team is allowed 1 timeout per game. Substitutions may only be made between points. Each team is responsible for calling out the score prior to each service. At the conclusion of each game, the score should then be recorded on the scorecard. All game rule infractions will be self-officiated by each team. The Intramural Sports Supervisor on site is available to clarify rules or procedures as needed. The ball is out of bounds whenever it hits the ceiling and goes over the net, hits the back wall on a serve or attack, or hits 2 or more walls on a serve or volley. The service area is anywhere within 3 feet along the back wall. Should the ball pass through the opening between the net and wall on either the first or second hit, it will be considered a replay. If this occurs during a team's third hit, it will be considered a point in favor of the opposing team. The ball may be played off the sidewalls, back wall, or ceiling of your team's side of the court in order to return a pass or to pass to a teammate. A ball becomes dead as a result of the following situations. When it hits the floor, it hits 2 or more walls consecutively on the receiving team's side, the ball hits the ceiling and lands on the opponent's side, the ball hits the back wall on the fly on the receiving team's side, the supervisor sounds the whistle, and when a player commits a fault. A team will lose the rally if the ball hits the floor on their side of the court, if the ball travels over the net and hits the back wall or the ceiling, or if the ball hits the net as it is being served. Also, if the ball crosses the net after contacting 2 or more walls without making contact with a player, a side out or loss of serve will be called. When playing the ball, up to 3 successive hits are allowed for each team to play the ball over the net. Any player may spike or block the ball. Any player that makes contact with the ball outside of a block shall be considered as having played the ball. The ball may be hit with any part of the body as long as it rebounds cleanly after contact with the player. However, using a kicking motion to play the ball is illegal. Climbing the wall to play the ball is also illegal. It is illegal to contact the net or contact the floor across the center line. A hand or foot on the center line is legal. For the Co-Rec League, the on-court gender ratio must always be plus or minus 1 for each team. Substitutions must be male for male and female for female. Once the ball is in play, if the ball is hit more than once by a team, both genders must contact the ball before it crosses the net. If a team has 3 players, they will lose the ball and point any time the male or female service order is violated. All game status decisions will be made by the Intramural Sports Office by 4 p.m. each day. After 4 p.m., the status of games is determined by intramural staff on site. To see the most current game status, follow us on Twitter or Facebook. If you have any questions that were not covered in this video, or any that come up throughout the season, please feel free to check out our policy page online, email us at imsports@vt.edu, call us, or stop by our office in War Memorial Hall. Good luck, have a great season, and thank you for helping make Virginia Tech Intramural Sports one of the finest programs in the nation.